In the Ielts test, you hear some recordings and you have to answer questions on them. You have time to read the instructions and questions and check your work. All recordings are played only once. Now turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman discussing the loss of a bag on board a plane. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Pan Asian Airways, John speaking. Can I help you?
Yes, please. I left something on one of your planes last night. I got this number from the operator. Is this the right number to call?
Yes, madam. This is the right number. I just need you to tell me your name to start with, so I can fill out a lost property form.
Kirsty Allen. That's Kirstyyallen.
So, Kirsty is the correct answer. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, as the recording is not played twice. Listen carefully to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 5.
Pan Asian Airways, John speaking. Can I help you?
Yes, please. I left something on one of your planes last night. I got this number from the operator. Is this the right number to call?
Yes, madam. This is the right number. I just need you to tell me your name to start with, so I can fill out a lost property form.
Kirsty Allen. That's Kirstyyallen.
Right, I've got that. Now, what happened last night?
Well, I was on a flight last night from New York to London that landed at 12:30 a.m. We were delayed a while in New York, so that when we eventually landed, I was so tired that I accidentally left my handbag on the plane.
Did you report this to anyone last night?
No, I'm afraid not. I didn't notice until I got home, and then it was really too late to phone.
Very well, madam. Let me take a few details for this form, and I'll see what I can do. OK, so the name was Kirsty Allen. And what's the address, please?
48 Wyndham Road, Richmond.
The postcode?
R16GH7.
Good, I've got that. Now, your telephone number?
Well, my home number is 020-8927-7651. And my mobile is 07754-897-432.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the second one. What was the mobile again?
07754-897-432.
Thanks. Now, do you know the flight number of the plane you were on last night?
Oh yes, hang on a second. I've got my boarding pass stub right here. The flight number was PA356. No, I'm sorry, PA365. That's it, 365.
And does the boarding card stub say what seat you had?
Oh yes, it was E6.
And you said that it was New York to London Heathrow. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
OK then. Now, I have to take some details about the bag that you lost. It was a handbag, yes?
That's right.
Could you describe it to me?
Well, I guess it just looks like any regular handbag. It's very dark red with black handles, and the catch on the top is gold-coloured.
Does it have any distinguishing marks?
Not really. It's quite new, you see, so I haven't scratched it or anything. It's got a brand name, but that's just inside the bag when you open it, under the catch.
OK. Now, can you tell me what was inside the bag?
Quite a few things, actually. Not my passport, of course, or I would never have got out of the airport. My purse is inside, and that's got about $200 and about £70 cash. There is also my credit card and some membership cards.
Good. I'll just write that down. Anything else in the bag?
A small paperback that I was reading, some makeup, my work keys, but not my house keys, thank God, and a couple of pens.
Have you informed the police about the loss of the card?
Yes, and I've also cancelled the card with the credit company.
Right. Now what I'll do is to contact the lost property, which is where your bag will have gone if it was found. I'll give you a call back within an hour and tell you what the situation is. If you haven't had a call within an hour and a half, call back this number and ask for me. My name is John, OK?
Yes, that's great, John. I'll speak to you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a residence manager giving a short question and answer session to new residents. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully to the question and answer session and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Simon and I am the manager of this residence. Most of you here today are new in the town of Westley. Some of you are students at the uni, some have new jobs, and some have other reasons to be with us. When we have lots of new people staying with us, I do one of these little question and answer sessions so that I can help you settle in. So, let's get started straight away. Yes, over there.
Hi, I'm Margaret. I'm a student here. I was wondering where I can do my laundry. It won't be long before this is an urgent thing for me.
Here in the residence we are planning a little laundrette beside reception, but this might take a little time to organise. In the meantime, there's a little laundrette down the road. It's in Queen's Avenue, the same street that the residence is in. You go about 500 metres up the road in the opposite direction to the town centre, and it's on the right. They have plenty of machines and dryers, and there's a lady there called Betty who does service washes. You just need to drop it off and it will be laundered, dried and ironed the next day. It's a bit more expensive, of course, but good if you're lazy. Another question?
Hi, my name's Jo. I've got a new job at the other end of the high street. I was wondering which the best bus was to go there.
The best bus for the centre of town is the 38. That takes you straight to the square. If you work at the end of the high street, though, that still leaves you with about a 10-minute walk. The 39 goes to the train station, which is very near the end of the high street. So that's your best bet, probably. The 39 is good for coming home late at night as well, because the station buses go on later than the other buses. There's the 35 bus too, for getting to the high street, but it goes to the near end of the high street, and it's a good 20-minute walk after getting off. Anyone else? You there?
I'm a student too. I'm new in the area and I have to register for my council tax. Do you know where I have to go to register?
Yes, we get lots of people in your situation. You other students need to do this too. First of all, get the information sheet from the Students' Union, which has lots of guidelines on registering and the discounts you should get. The Students' Union is in Newbolt Street. I'm sure you know that. The actual putting your name on a list, though, should be done at the town hall, which is right next to the square. Some people are told that you can do it at the police station, but that's just the registration for non-UK nationals, not the council tax.
You now have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the short question and answer session and answer questions 16 to 20.
Any more questions? Come on, I'm sure you must have some more.
Yes, I was wondering what we do in the case of a fire here at the residence.
Well, the first thing to do is to raise the alarm by setting off the electric alarm system. Then, if the fire is not big, try and use the fire extinguishers that you'll find round the residence. If the fire is in any way large, just get out and go to the assembly point on the front lawn. Try not to go in the front or back car parks, as that's where the fire brigade will set up their stuff. You don't need to call the fire brigade, as our residence alarm is linked up to their system. Make sure you read the fire notices around so you know where the nearest fire escape is to your room. Don't panic and rush around. That gets people hurt. Just go briskly to the assembly point. Once every 6 months we have a fire drill, which is attended by someone from the fire service to make sure we're up to scratch. One of these might be at night, so be ready.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to ask what time the TV room closed for the night. It's just that my room is just across from it and I don't want to be kept awake all night.
The usual cut-off time for the TV room is 11 p.m, though this is extended by 1 hour on Fridays and Saturdays. I know that some people want to watch late-night films, but then you'll just have to buy your own TVs for your rooms. If you do have a TV in your room, then please think of others and keep the volume down. We take a very dim view of people disturbing others in the residence. The same goes for the TV room itself. Just keep the volume levels down. Anything else from anybody?
I've got a question too, actually. I've got a job that will get me back late in the evening, and I won't always be able to eat. Are there any good places nearby that deliver food?
The quick answer is yes, there are lots of places. There is an Indian nearby. Fish and chips is sold in a shop that is, funnily enough, run by a Chinese family. There is a good Thai restaurant, a Mexican and an Italian pizzeria. They all deliver apart from the Mexican, but that's only 5 minutes walk away. All the telephone numbers are up on the residence notice board. The first time you order from each of them, just ask them to stick a menu into the bag and you'll build up a library in no time. Now, let me tell you about...
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You'll hear an admissions tutor at a university interviewing a prospective student. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hello there, it's Robert Johnson, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
First of all, thanks for coming to this interview and thanks for applying to the engineering department of Wesley University. This is a fairly informal interview where I just get to know you and find out what kind of person you are. There won't be any technical questions as we've got all your educational background from your application form.
Oh, that's good.
Now, I know you've applied to us to study civil engineering, so can you tell me why you chose this field?
It's a mixture of reasons, really. First of all, I've always been fascinated by building things. Whenever the family was on the holiday, I would always be interested in the local bridge and all that. My father is a civil engineer too, so he'd always be able to explain things. And it was he, I suppose, who really fostered my interest. I'm lucky as well, because my best subjects at school were maths and physics, which are the ones that are of particular use for engineering.
So you'll be keeping it in the family then?
Yes, my brother wants to do the same thing as well, so you'll probably get an application from him in another 2 years.
Great. Now then, I noticed from your application form that you took a year off between school and university. What did you do during this year?
Well, I'd like to say I got plenty of work experience, but what I did was travel. I went to Australia for the year and spent the time travelling and working all around the country. At the end, I went to New Zealand and travelled around there for a couple of months.
What kind of work did you do out there?
It was fairly menial stuff. I delivered furniture, worked in a pub, worked in a hotel, and worked on a building site for a couple of months too.
Working on a building site must have been good experience for engineering.
I suppose so. I mean, it was interesting to see the brass tacks side of things, and a good engineer has to get his hands dirty, my father says.
He's absolutely right as well. Now, why did you choose Wesley University to study civil engineering?
Well, first of all, I know that the department has a very good reputation in this field, and before applying, I checked out the stats and saw the percentage of graduates going straight into industry was very good.
Yes, we're very proud of that.
I'm also very interested in mountaineering, and your campus here in the Midlands is within reasonable distance of Snowdonia, so I'll be able to go hiking at weekends when work allows.
That's good. It's very important for students to have interests outside of their studies. It helps deal with the stress.
I also play a lot of football, and the university runs quite a few teams in the local leagues, so I'd like to get into that.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 27 to 30.
Is there anything you'd like to ask me about the course?
Yes, the information in the prospectus wasn't very clear about assessment. How will I be assessed over the 4 years of the course?
Well, as it's a sandwich course, you'll be working in industry for the 3rd year, and there won't be any exams for that year. In the 1st year, you'll have exams at the end of May. You'll probably have 5 papers to sit then. The 2nd year is identical to the 1st year. You have to pass the exams in these years, but they won't actually be part of your degree. In the 4th year, you'll have to write a dissertation of a minimum of 15,000 words, and most people use their time in the 3rd year, when they're working, to use as a basis for their dissertation. So the 3rd year can be spent doing the hard work for the dissertation, leaving the 4th year to polish it, and study for your finals.
What will I have to do for the finals?
There will be 8 papers in all during June, and these will be based on work done throughout the entire course. It's hard and a stressful time, but students usually cope with it. Anything else?
Yes, I'd like to ask.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 4. Section 4. You will hear part of a research methods lecture. First you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this auxiliary lecture on research methods. This lecture is not aimed specifically at one particular course, but is a general lecture that will be relevant to any student who must conduct research into a topic for his or her course. For most of you, this will be the research that you need to do in order to write your dissertation and theses. It has been said that first world societies are no longer industrial societies, but information societies. That is, our major problems and tasks no longer mainly centre on the production of goods and services necessary for survival and comfort, but rather require a prompt and accurate flow of information on preferences, needs and behaviour. This is why surveys today are regarded with so much importance. What then is a survey? Today, the word survey is used most often to describe a method of gathering information from a sample of individuals. This way, the results can be projected from the sample to the larger population. An important consideration to take at the start is to decide how large a survey to perform. The sample size required for a survey partly depends on the statistical quality needed and the size of the total population of the area in question. Even so, there is no simple rule for sample size that can be used for all surveys. Analysts, though, often find that a moderate sample size is sufficient statistically and operationally. A properly selected sample of only 1,000 individuals can reflect various characteristics of the total population, but it is not always needed to sample the entire population for your needs. I'd like now to look at some of the types of survey available to us, and the focus here will be on methods for surveying individuals and companies. Mail, telephone interview, and in-person interview surveys are the most common ways for doing this. The latter can be in offices, homes, or on the street. Mail surveys can be relatively low in cost. A decent response rate, though, is the major problem. Mail surveys can be most effective when directed at particular groups, such as subscribers to a specialised magazine or members of a professional association. Telephone interviews are an efficient method of collecting some types of data and are being used increasingly. They lend themselves particularly well to situations where timeliness is a factor and the length of the survey is limited. For students such as you, though, cost will be an issue. In-person interviews in a respondent's home or office are good when complex information is to be collected. It could involve a great deal of travelling around, though. Street interviews could also be useful as they are easy, but the sampling is not very scientific. We also need to look at the content of our surveys. Surveys can focus on opinions and attitudes, or on factual characteristics or behaviour. Many surveys combine types of question. Questions may be open-ended, such as, "Why do you feel that way?" or closed, such as, "Do you approve or disapprove?" The questionnaire may be very brief, a few questions, taking 5 minutes or fewer, or it can be quite long, requiring an hour or more of the respondent's time. Also, because changes in attitudes or behaviour cannot be reliably ascertained from a single interview, some surveys employ a panel design, in which the same respondents are interviewed on 2 or more occasions. There are also certain ethics to be looked at in conducting surveys. Some of you will see that the information that you will compile is of value to companies operating in that particular sector. Therefore, you must always bear in mind a few guidelines. Surveys should be carried out solely to develop statistical information about a subject. They should not be designed to produce predetermined results or as a ruse for marketing and similar activities. The industry standard for all reputable survey organisations is that individual respondents should never be identified in reporting survey findings. All of the survey's results should be presented in completely anonymous summaries, such as statistical tables and charts.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.